I think we're live.
PhD.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for taking the time to join us for the next 45 minutes. Probably have everybody out of here in about 30, 40 minutes. I know we have busy agendas and schedules today. But we're excited to be here. And wow, we're already back at ProMat. I've been attending ProMat, Modex, member of MHI since 2015, 2016. And I couldn't be more enthusiastic to be here this week. There's so much innovation and automation happening in our industry. And we have an exciting and engaging and hopefully educational presentation planned for you today, focused on sales, the best play in your digital transformation playbook. My name is Zach Cooper. I'm the Director of Sales for Atlatl Software. With me today is our Director of Marketing, Chris Bodine.
Hey, everyone.
And we're going to discuss, explain, and hopefully outline our suggestions from what we've learned from our customers in manufacturing for how you need to digitize, automate, and transform your sales operations, specifically your customer experiences. Industry 4.0. I was first introduced to Industry 4.0 when I joined MHI. And I don't know about you guys, my first question was, when was the first industrial revolution? And it's actually really interesting to go back and learn about the history of how far we've come as manufacturers, how far we've come as an industry and an economy, all focused around productivity and efficiency. And I want to compliment everybody in the room. As I walk the show floor and as I meet with my customers, I get to see the innovation, the automation that they're investing in, that you're investing in to build your smart factory for tomorrow, your digital factory for tomorrow, your automated factory for tomorrow, all in the effort to bring productivity and efficiency to your operations. What we want to talk about today and what we're here to suggest is, what are you doing for your sales process? What are you doing for your sales reps? And what are you doing for your customers? The reality is, the world we live in today, the digital economy, we have these on-demand, immediate gratification tools right at our fingertips, whether it's Netflix, what show do I want to watch right now on my mobile device because the speaker's a little boring? What do I need to order off of Amazon, and how quickly can it get to me? We could go and we could name and we could talk about all these different platforms that allow us to interact, engage, and achieve customer satisfaction in real time. The question I encourage you to start asking yourself right now and through the rest of the show is, what tools, what platforms, what technologies are we investing in so we can deliver that same customer satisfaction to our partners and to our consumers? So what does it all mean? What does it mean to transform our sales process? I'm sure we could go around the room and most of us could raise our hand to the question, have you ever used a CRM? Have you invested in a CRM? Have you implemented in a CRM? CRM, Customer Relationship Management Software. And that's exactly what it is. It's a tool to manage your customer relations. I've been in sales for almost a decade, and I'll be the first one to say, as a sales rep, CRM helps me track my customer relations. It helps me track my customer activities. It might help me prepare for a customer meeting to know the history of that account and that persona. But it doesn't help me sell. The reality is, it's a data tracker. That data can be useful. It can help me leverage new strategies for engaging my customer, but it's not helping me deliver customer satisfaction in real time. It's not helping me respond to the customer demands. It's 12 o'clock, the first day of ProMat. I've already had one conversation with a potential customer about how their customers, they can't keep up to their responses. They can't keep up to their requests. So we're going to help answer that question. What does it mean to automate, to transform, to innovate our sales process, and why is it vital that that's the first mile on our transformation journey? And the impacts of why this is a must today is your customers change. We just talked about it. In the B2C economy, whether we're streaming a show or a movie, whether we're ordering something online, or whether I'm trying to figure out where to go, I can have that information in the palm of my hand. That customer's changed for the B2B economy as well. Whether I want to order something quick ship off your website, whether I want a quote to understand the budget for capital equipment, or whether I want to know where my product is and when am I going to have my product, those same demands from the B2C economy are driving our B2B experiences. We talked about customer relationship management software, data. That data is absolutely valuable that you can leverage for strategic initiatives. And the reality is data-driven companies win. And if you're not providing a good experience and you're not leveraging that data to understand the experience necessary for your customer success, those poor experiences, they're going to impact your business in negative ways. On that note, I want to hand things off to Chris, who's going to speak to his experiences as an employee at a global manufacturing organization where they were trying to transform, but they had some trouble along the way. Chris?
Yeah. Thanks, Zach. Well, hi, everyone. Glad to be here. And as Zach and I continue to talk about this conversation, I continue to be reminded of my experiences. They were so similar to so many of our customers and prospects that we talk with. And as he mentioned, we were going through a transformation ourselves at our company. And there was a lot of things that we were considering. And a little bit kind of about our company. Large, publicly traded, 35 plus year history. We were multi-billion dollar, we had a lot of resources at our disposal. And we had grown up really this homegrown, roll up your sleeves kind of attitude, and it got us into a position we were the top in our industry. But we realized pretty quickly a lot of those homegrown solutions and human-centric solutions, they don't scale. And so rewind 5, 6, 7 years ago, as we began to think ahead, began to look at the next 6 years in our vision cycle, we recognized this and we decided we need to make a shift. And so we began our digital transformation journey. And luckily we began it early. We recognized that we needed to focus on certain areas. And so I was fortunate and honored to be a part of a team that kind of set out. And I was in charge of sales and marketing innovations. I had colleagues who focused on IT, operations, and our manufacturing shop floor. And the several years worth of research, of exploration was incredible. The ideas that we generated, the projects that we came back with, we took all of the right first steps. So where did we fall short? What happened was, every time we had a great idea, put a project team together, create a lot of energy and momentum, we came back, we made the presentation, our leadership didn't know what to do next. They were stuck. It was too much. Because as you try to tackle, it's the classic, how do you eat an elephant scenario? You can't eat it all at once. And unfortunately, we did not pick a landing place, a place to start. And as we'll talk about today, we believe that place is sales. And we'll explain more why. But what happens if you don't? What happens if you try to take this big bite all at once? Well, unfortunately, I myself am a part of that scenario. You're going to lose valuable talent. You're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of resources, and you're not going to make progress. So in short, the best advice, and as Zach will lay out in the following steps, pick a place to start. We believe you start where you impact the customer experience the most, and that will be with sales. Zach?
Chris, just real quick.
Sure.
You said something that really hit me. Too much. I know anytime I'm going through a change in my professional or my personal life, change is crazy, especially when you put too much change on the table at one time. What did you learn through that pain of trying to change everything at the same time? And what would you suggest to the audience? I mean, how do you prioritize where to start?
Sure, and without stealing too much of your thunder, what we really recognize is there is never a shortage of opportunity. You're always going to find new projects, new things you can tackle. A little bit biased being sales and marketing, but I believe some of the projects we had were of top priority. Why? Because they impact the customer experience. Those efficiencies and that shift and that change of experience creates downstream efficiencies. So the benefits that we gain on the front end with that customer interaction benefits what happens in our support resources, benefits what happens on our back end processes. So that change management, being able to change the front end, driving those efficiencies as we seek to change downstream, would create a much better process.
One more question.
Sure.
Before we let you sit back down. Losing valuable talent. I know this is something I've experienced in my career where you make that new hire, everyone couldn't be more excited for all of the talent, the experience, and the success they're going to bring the organization. But the organization can't keep up with the new talent, and they end up losing that talent. I mean, how did you guys suffer from that?
Absolutely. And obviously I found a great home now, and one of the reasons I chose a different company, even though it was a tough decision to leave, a company I really enjoyed and was loyal to, was I knew I needed to find a place that was actually making progressive change. And that's the unintended consequence of some of these activities if you're not careful with them. If you're not approaching digital transformation in the right way, is you will lose your top talent, because the top talent you have wants progress, wants change, wants to make sure the company that they're investing in for their future is taking the right steps. And so encouraging your leaders, encouraging your top talent to have that runway, to have that freedom, to have that opportunity to experience the right kind of change management rather than suffer through kind of the frustrating lack of progression and failure to change, really.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, I was patient enough. Back to the main mic. So thank you again, Chris, for the customer case study. You bring up some valuable points, and I can see ladies and gentlemen nodding their heads. Seems like we all have some similarities with the pain that can come from doing too much at once, not knowing where to start, and suffering the loss of talent because of it, and hopefully not customers. So where to start? Where to start with this change? Well, for me, I think it starts with priorities. Priority number one, how are we going to drive this incremental change? Priority number two, how are we going to drive the downstream efficiencies because of the change? And why do we have to start with sales? So a couple questions, and I'm going to share personal experiences of Atlatl software as we go through a few of these, but who's tasked with driving innovation in your company? What does your current sales process look like? How has your company standardized the process, documentation, and digital assets? Who is your customer, and how well do you know them? And what revenue streams have you explored? I'm going to start with the first one. Who is tasked with driving innovation? I think when we're sitting inside the four walls of our businesses, sometimes we don't know where to look to answer that question. And I actually want to speak to an article I read about a digital company, Airbnb. Everybody's probably somewhat familiar with the hospitality platform, but the story starts back in 2011, 2012, when they were really just starting to take off. And they ended up hiring, speaking of that talent, a new chief hospitality officer who had 30 years experience in hospitality, had taken 2 companies to successful exits. He walked in the doors of Airbnb on his first day thinking he was going to be the mentor, thinking he was going to be the leader to drive innovation. He sat down in his first meeting and a 25-year-old kid looked at him, asked a question about some software development code they were developing to create this brand new customer experience. And he asked the chief hospitality officer, 55, 60 years of age, 30 years successful career, what do you think? And he didn't have an answer. He didn't even know what the kid was talking about. And it hit him right there. The idea of a growth mindset. The idea that the mentor in today's business world has to become the mentee. There's a new generation in the workforce, a generation that's grown up with technology, a generation that's grown up with constant change, with an on-demand, immediate gratification mindset. They are the new buyer. So if you're looking to answer the question, who's going to be tasked with driving innovation, look within your workforce and look to that younger generation and challenge yourself to become the mentor to the mentee and enable your stakeholders, old and young, to be the new mentors to drive this innovational change at your organization. Question number 2, what does your sales process look like? This is a painful question. I just went through 3 weeks of 2.5 years worth of data, as I refer to it, looking at all my own dirty laundry, picking apart our sales process at Atlatl Software because our buyers changed. When we started this company, we were selling to chief executives and vice presidents. In 2.5 years, there's a new buyer. And the new buyer buys differently. They interact differently. They engage differently. They're not accustomed to picking up the phone and asking questions. In fact, they're going to do all their research and pick their buyer before they even call me. So I need to change my sales process to build a digitally enabled B2B model. I need to be able to identify gaps. Where am I not able to provide the customer the information and the decision-making power they need? Once I can evolve my sales process, and we're going to talk about this a little more on, we can take action on our next steps for that B2B digital sales model. Which goes right into our next question. How are you standardizing this process, documentation, digital assets? Why was the process so painful? In 2.5 years of collecting data, none of it was documented. We moved too fast. Not only had we not tasked somebody to drive innovation, we had to task somebody to document everything we were doing. And I hear this all the time in manufacturing. Yes, we happen to sell a sales technology, but our sales technology is driven by engineering. And every time we go and have a conversation with engineering around their business, their world, it typically lives in one person's head, and it's never been documented. So document your business. Take that time. It is absolutely painful, especially if you're like me and you're always on the go. But if you don't know and you can't speak to where you've been, how are you going to know where you need to go? All of this is an effort to understand and identify who is my customer today, and more importantly, who is my customer for tomorrow? And once I can answer that question, I can start building the new revenue streams so that we can successfully market, sell, and partner with our new customer. So get the right people involved. As I had mentioned, sometimes that innovator, sometimes that project team already exists in your business. And we always think we need to create these new teams that are going to drive our transformation. Why create more work for yourself? What if that team already exists? It's just in different parts of your business. So something we did at Atlatl Software, and credit to Chris, he created a product steering group. When I first heard product steering group, I'm in sales, I'm like, sounds like it's going to be a lot of product development conversation. I'm going to get really bored really fast. So I'm probably only going to step in the first 15 minutes of that meeting. But when I walked into that meeting, it was an individual from every part of our business. There was only one product person in there. There was product, there was marketing, there was sales, there was customer success, there was engineering, there was services. When you need to get the right people involved, you need to get the right people involved who have experiences across the different parts of your business, to create that collective mindset, to prioritize where the change is going to be, but also to hear the voice of where the change needs to happen. So look internally and look at who you have already and create that collective group across the different operations, business units within your company. And if there are gaps, then you can look outside. But we all know with the current employment rate, it's hard to find people. So don't create harder work for yourself. Have that growth mindset and become the mentee to your people. Prepare your process. I talked long enough about looking at my own dirty laundry. Now let's talk about your dirty laundry. How well do you know your process? Every time I ask a customer, so what's your sales process? I don't know, sales meets with the customer, figure out what the customer wants, get the customer what they need. Okay, that's my process too. But really, what is your process? Where does your process start? Can you answer that? Because your process is starting way before you're involved. Your process is starting digitally. Your process is starting on the web. Once your customer identifies you as a potential partner, then sales might get involved. But what type of sales rep is it? Is it a consultative technical sales rep? Or is it a closer mindset sales rep? Because if you go and you look at any of the research done, Forrester, if you're familiar with Forrester, Forrester did a report, The Death of the Salesman. And they talked about the different buying behaviors and the different buying trends. And the reality is that a customer doesn't always want to talk to sales. In fact, 67% of buyers prefer not to interact with a vendor or sales. So we need to identify different methods at which we're going to satisfy that customer, but also speak to their buying behaviors. But then there's the other side of the coin. My product requires a sales rep. My product requires a technical expert. That's okay. Identify at what point in the process they're going to be introduced to the customer. We could go on and on and on about preparing your process, but just some questions that you can walk away with. How does our buyer buy? Does our buyer want to buy through web and digital? But what if I can't sell my products through web and digital? At what point do I need to introduce a sales rep, and is it a sales rep? Because the sales rep of yesterday is not the sales rep of tomorrow. And I'm happy to answer any questions on that after the talk. The third question, which leads us to the next statement, implement the right tools to fill the gaps in your process. So if the 67% of our buyers prefer not to interact with a vendor or sales, how are we going to sell to them? We all know who Amazon is. E-commerce is the direction in which we're all trying to gear our websites for. But let's go to that second question we had just asked. My products can't be sold digitally. So e-commerce might not be the right solution for all parts of my business. We know CRM is not going to help anybody sell, but it is going to collect all the data to understand our buying behaviors. An additional tool I'd encourage you to look at is CPQ technology, configure, price, quote. So now we can have two different user experiences. We can have the user experience of e-commerce, my commodity, non-technical, non-engineered systems and solutions and products. Sales doesn't have to interact with the customer. The customer can get their on-demand satisfaction directly from their mobile device, and I can track all of that history in my CRM. Experience number two, I sell a capital engineered system or equipment. I can leverage CPQ technology, configure, price, quote, and now I can embed that on my website to mirror my e-commerce experience with B2B commerce experience. Imagine you sell pallet rack systems, you sell conveyor systems, you sell heavy machinery, you sell robotics. Your customer can now go to your website. They can configure your product in real time. You can include visual, because the mind processes visual 300% faster than any other learning methodology. Because the new buyer has grown up with visual since the earliest days. That's how we learned. I went to school in the late 80s and early 90s. I learned through visual. Textbooks were on their way out. Visual learning was much, much, much on its way in. So with CPQ, you can now offer your customers a new experience, a new buying experience, where they can configure your complex engineered capital equipment in a self-service type of methodology. The CPQ technology can generate an accurate price with a proposal. But maybe we don't want to share our price. That's all right. Partner with a vendor who can help you configure your new sales technologies to align with your business processes, and with your business beliefs. And now we have more data. We have data from e-commerce, We have data from our B2B commerce. We also have data from our sales team. So in 25 minutes, we've talked about 3 new revenue streams. One that probably already existed, sales. One that you've probably implemented or you're on your way to implement, e-commerce. But a third in B2B commerce for your complex products and solutions. All of that is going to generate valuable data, actionable insights, where you can reevaluate your process and improve your process for change, for the better, for the customer. And to close on the 5 places to start, digital commerce. What does it mean for your business that is territorial, that is domestic, that is looking to reach new heights through global expansion, the global economy, that is well on its way, and where you see international organizations growing at immense speed? What does it mean for your business when you can expand your market reach with e-commerce for your quick ship and your quick purchase items, with B2B commerce for your more complex capital purchases? And what does it mean for your sales team when you can enable them with these tools so now they can achieve success in their operation? CPQ technology can be easily interfaced, handshaked with your CRM. Your sales reps already use CRM. I encourage you to go back to your office, whether that's today, tomorrow, or next week, and ask your sales reps, does our CRM help you sell? I'll send you a buffalo nickel if you get 100% satisfaction response. And then ask your sales reps, what tools do you need to sell? Talking about creating that project team, talk about who's going to lead innovation. Ask your sales team, hey, who's our customer? Is it the same John Smith from 1995? Is it the same Gary from 2005? Is it still Susan from 2015? Who's going to be our customer in 2025? Let your sales team drive your customer change. Let your sales team drive your customer experiences. Give them a voice, because all we want to do is sell. And the easier you make it for us to sell, the more we're going to sell your product, which is a whole nother conversation about channel development, dealers, distributors, and integrators, and what it means to be not only the preferred supplier to buy from, but the preferred supplier to sell for. So what happens? Better opportunities, better qualifying. I work with a handful of custom machinery manufacturers, large capital equipment, upwards anywhere from $500,000 to multi-million-dollar purchases. I say, hey, what's the process for your sales team? Same process, every single customer. Well, what if you don't know the customer's budget? We go through the same process. And then how do you respond to the customer when their budget isn't enough to cover the purchase? We move on to the next customer. And do you repeat the same process again? Yes, we do. So how can you enable your sales team to better qualify, and in doing so, identify better opportunities? We talked about CPQ for your website. CPQ can also be implemented within your direct sales team and your channel sales team. So I'll go back to my custom machinery example. For custom machinery manufacturers, CPQ enables your sales team to quickly and accurately configure your complex equipment to generate a range of magnitude price for your customer on a budgetary quote that can take them 15 minutes or less. They can budget qualify that customer. They can then define the appropriate product for the customer and align the customer's needs to your product offerings. Then you can introduce your technical and your engineering experts to help the sales team close that customer for a successful purchase order. In doing so, we've enabled our sales team to better qualify with better opportunities, aligned to the customer's need, budget, and product. We've saved our expensive people, engineers and product experts, from being involved from the very first step of the process to the very end of the process. And the ultimate impact is margins. Lower your customer acquisition costs and do it through digital technologies like CPQ. And allow your CPQ to speak back to your CRM so you can see those buying trends and how you can improve your process or take it to the web. Faster conversion. I recently was improving my kitchen. I was working with a door manufacturer, one that most of us probably know. Door sales rep comes into my house, measures out my back door, says, okay, give me about 2 weeks. I'll send you a quote. He called 2 weeks later. I was no longer interested in redoing my kitchen. Something else had popped up. I wanted to redo the backyard. It's springtime in Charleston, South Carolina. We spend more time outdoors than we do indoors. I'll do the kitchen in the fall. He lost a lead. He lost a conversion because he didn't have the right tools to configure my product, give me a price and a quote right then and there when I was ready to buy. Buyers are romantics. More often than not, we're going to buy off emotion, or we're going to buy off pain, which is an emotion. So you need to enable your sales team and your marketers with the right tools to sell to the customer's need and to sell to the customer when they need it now. And we're going to have a higher close rate because of it. But not only are we going to have a higher close rate, we're going to have lower acquisition costs driven by the downstream efficiencies we started this whole change conversation on, driven by downstream revenue channels that we didn't know existed or we could build for our business. And you're going to have happier sales reps. And you're going to have engineers with more time on their hand. And you're going to have product people who have more resources to do what they do best, innovate, and bring new products to the market. And that last bullet point Chris hit on, losing valuable talent, that won't be a reality at your company. I can't make that promise because I don't know what type of organization you have, but looking in the room, looks like we've built some pretty good businesses by some pretty good leaders. You just need to lead your people in the right direction. You need to listen to your people. You need to provide them with the tools for their operational excellence. And the best part about it is you're going to have a better customer experience. I want to tell a quick story to close things out. There's a very famous high-end hotel. The icon, the logo, is a lion. If you're familiar with the logo as a lion, you probably know the hotel I'm talking about. It's a high-end chain. And when you ask people, when you see this logo, what do you think of? A lion, right? I think of elite. I think of power. I think of the best. I'm going to tell a little story. And while I tell the story, I want you to think about what story do we want our business to be told to our customers. So this hotel that the logo gives off this elitist, this power mantra to its customers. This hotel thinks very differently, though. They had a family come visit one of the locations in Florida. And the family had a son, and the son had a teddy bear. And as they're running around trying to get all the kids packed up, trying to get all the suitcases zipped together so they can make their flight, they forgot about the little boy's teddy bear. And if you're a parent, and if you had young kids, you know what that means. Armageddon. Little kid without a stuffed animal, 6-hour flight ahead of us, we're done for. So the parents, they frantic. They start calling the hotel, we can't find the teddy bear, we can't find the teddy bear, we can't find the teddy bear. Hotel says, don't worry about it, we're going to look for the teddy bear. They land back in their home state, again, 6-hour flight. Everyone's exhausted, the little kid hasn't stopped crying yet. I just want Teddy, I just want Teddy, I just want Teddy. 2 days go by, kid still hasn't stopped crying, but a package shows up at the front door. And the package, they open it up and it's Teddy. But Teddy's holding a photo album. And what the hotel did, the maids found Teddy wrapped up in the sheets. But instead of just setting Teddy back, they took Teddy on an extended vacation of the hotel. They took pictures of Teddy at the spa with cucumbers on his eyes. They took pictures of Teddy sitting by the pool, getting a tan. They took pictures of Teddy at the gym, getting a sweat. So that little kid, when he looked through the photo album with Teddy, he didn't forget about Teddy. Teddy just wanted to have a little bit longer of vacation. That hotel is not about elitism and power. That hotel is about customer experiences. So again, I ask you, what story do you want to tell your customers? And what experience do you want them to have with your business? Improve synergy between product and sales. We talked about some of those downstream efficiencies and how when sales is enabled to respond to customers, to sell customers and customers' timelines, to align product to customer budget, and to achieve excellence and satisfaction from end to end, you're going to have a lot more time. You're going to have a lot more opportunity for productivity. And you're going to be able to align sales to product and engineering with all of the data you're going to capture across your 3 revenue streams, your e-commerce, your B2B commerce, and your direct channel sales. You're going to create synergy across your business. And the technology is going to be the integration point between your front office, sales, marketing, and customers, and your back office, product, engineering, manufacturing, and finance. The overall umbrella is operations, continuous process improvement from customer to product and from product to customer. And in doing so, you're going to be able to implement faster with new products, essentially delivering speed to revenue. So if you remember anything after today, what is your customer experience? What revenue streams are you not achieving on today? What tools do we need to identify to complete our revenue cycle? And how are we going to find the right people, and do we have them already to lead this transformational change? Thank you very much.